Okay. Hi guys, I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on. I'm having some technical difficulties, but I'm here. Hi. Thank you guys so much for waiting. And I apologize for the delay. I was actually here at 8 ready and clicked on, and my webinar host decided to hate me. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Thank you guys for coming. I'm April, the Absolute Travel Addict, and this is 21 questions, or however many questions we actually get through on this webinar. So the whole point of this was for me to kind of get to know you and let you get to, well, no, that didn't make sense. You get to know a little more about me. People email me and ask me these questions all the time, so I figure I just, make a place where I answer them all once and I'm done. So I will go ahead and get started, but I want to let you guys know that you can add questions in the chat box below, and I will get to them as we go along. This will just go on as long as there are questions. If there aren't any questions, we don't quite make it to 21, that's all good. We'll stop it wherever we end up. But 1 second, I'll be right back. Okay, so first question is one I get a lot, and basically people want to know if first is, where am I? I am currently in my apartment in Kingston, Jamaica, well, St. Andrew, Kingston, whatever. And I've been here since July. I actually left Ghana in June, and for some reason a lot of people didn't know that I'd left and that I was back in Jamaica. Partly because I just haven't been on social media like that, but I'm in Kingston, been in Jamaica for a little over 5 months or so. And for those that are wondering, you arrive in Jamaica, you get a stamp for 3 months, but you can extend your visa for up to 6 months at a time. So that's what I did. I extended my visa, and I'll be here a little while longer before heading back to beautiful Atlanta, cold Atlanta. So on to the first question. Am I Jamaican? What is that? And the answer is no, I'm not. I'm from Georgia, a small town in South Georgia called Valdosta. If you haven't been to Georgia or Florida or driven through, you probably have no clue where that is. It's right on the Georgia-Florida border. It's a little tiny town. It's known for the Air Force Base that's there, and Valdosta State University, and a theme park called Wild Adventures, which is like a mini Busch Gardens or whatever. Not much going on there. It's a really tiny town. High school football is really big. I think in 2002 or something like that, my town was named ESPN's title town. So it's they're really big into sports, especially football, from elementary school kids all the way up to high school and college levels, and they're really good at it. Let's see. So yeah, so I'm not Jamaican. I'm from Valdosta. My parents aren't Jamaican, so I don't really have any Jamaican ties. I just kind of landed here for a wedding several years ago, and I liked it, so I kept coming back. And that kind of leads me to the next question, which is, what about Jamaica do you like so much, and why do you keep coming back? And basically, I don't know, I had this feeling when I visited, and it's one of those places that kind of just draws you in. You kind of either love it or you're just kind of lukewarm or hate it. And I actually just love it. It's a very laid back place, and then the weather doesn't hurt. It's warm all the time, and there's just tons of stuff to do, from laying on the beach, being a bum, to hiking and playing in waterfalls and going to tons of parties and events. There's always a party or an event or something else to do here. Art is amazing. There's lots of museums, lots of really creative people sharing their talents. And the food is great. I know that's probably really cliche, but the food is really, really good, and it's cheap for the most part. And I just kind of feel like home. It just feels right. So when I get stuck and don't really know where I want to go next or what I want to do, it's kind of like the easy answer. I just go back to Jamaica because it's just works. And just for those that have just joined, feel free if you have any questions about me, life, Jamaica, Ghana, whatever, drop that in the chat box and I will get that answered as we go along. As I said earlier, we'll go until there are no more questions or something happens and everything falls apart again, whichever comes first. So next question on the list, I have my little list. This one actually came from one of the readers on my list, and she asked, "What's my biggest fear?" Which I thought was an interesting question. And I guess that would be just not being happy and not accomplishing, whatever I set out to do. And it's probably very cliche, but yeah, that's my biggest fear. The last couple of years have been very interesting. I, went to school, did the corporate thing, and wasn't really happy. So I started making changes to get to happy. But it seems like, every couple of months, I have this fear or wonder if I'm doing the right thing, if I'm going in the right direction, if I'm wasting my time, if there are other things I should be doing, like finding a husband and having kids, like everybody else seems to think is my next best step. But I don't know, I keep pushing forward and trying new things and trying to figure it out. And I just want to be happy. I don't want to live my life with regrets. And so far, I guess I'm doing okay. I'm pretty happy living in Jamaica, pretty happy traveling around, pretty happy doing the stuff that I'm doing, the clients that I have, the work is cool, and it works for me. And when it stops being fun and it stops being entertaining and I stop enjoying the people and what I'm doing, then I'll switch it over to something else and go on from there. Let's see. So the next question is, where am I going next? So I think I mentioned this a little earlier, but my visa for Jamaica is ending pretty soon, so I'll be heading back to Atlanta, at least for Thanksgiving. I don't know how much longer than that. Probably not too long, given that it's winter and it's cold, and I don't do very well in the cold, but haven't decided on what's after that. Have a couple of places in mind that I'm considering, and I may just come back to Jamaica because, as I said, it's easy and I like it here, and there's tons of stuff to do over Christmas and the New Year with parties and things like that. So who knows? But once I know, if you're on my list, I'm sure you'll hear about it, or if you follow me on Facebook or my Facebook fan, you'll get a note and you'll see pictures of whatever I'm doing next. Next on the list is, how do I decide where to go? Sometimes it's really random, and I just wake up one day and decide, hey, I'm gonna go here because somebody else went there and I saw a picture and it was cool, or it's a place that I've always dreamed about and want to visit myself, and I just kind of go. I do have like a travel bucket list. I wrote about it a little while ago, and India is definitely on that list. A lot of other islands in the Caribbean are on that list. Some more places in Africa. Nigeria is on that list for Calamar Festival in December, and I didn't get to go to last year because of visa situation. What else? Cuba, which is so sad because I'm so close and have all the opportunities to go. I just haven't been yet. And yeah, so I decide where I want to go based on a wide range of things. For India, it's always been just a passion for the culture and interest in the culture. Like, I met the first Indian guy that I met was when I was in high school at my job. I worked at Winn-Dixie as a cashier. And I was just so fascinated by him and his accent and all that cool stuff. And growing up in Valdosta, you didn't really get a lot of diverse people. Wasn't really a place that people would come and settle and want to raise a family because, one, they probably didn't know about it, and two, there's not really much there. So meeting him kind of started everything, and then a couple of my friends have parents from India, and they introduced me to Indian food and Bollywood, and I'm totally obsessed with this movie called Devdas and being able to do the dance in that opening number. So yeah, that coupled with just all the beautiful buildings, overall culture, keeps that kind of high on my list. And just fascination with places, people I meet, and things I read online, though I'm not always swayed by those top 10 articles. It definitely influences where I want to visit. And yeah, that's about it. I don't really read travel blogs that much, but I follow them and I see different articles and different images. So that all plays a part into helping me decide. But at the end of the day, I just go where I'm happy, where I think I'll be happy, what's fascinating to me, and not necessarily what someone else does or not what someone else thinks will be, what someone else thinks I should go. If that makes sense. The last question that I have on my list is, how do I afford to travel? And this one gets brought up a lot. And I actually addressed this in detail in my course, Travel Dreamers Academy. But basically, and you're probably not going to like this answer, but it's just, you got to prioritize travel and what you're interested in and find a way to make it happen. So I kind of break it down into 3 steps. You can save more, you can earn more, and you can make travel more affordable through travel hacking and taking advantage of deals and things like that. When it comes to savings, I think one of the top tips is to set aside a separate savings account for your travel funds, and automate that savings. So every month I have a certain dollar amount that gets transferred into a general savings account. Sometimes that changes based on my workload and what's coming in. When I was working full-time, it was kind of easy because my salary was set, but now it kind of fluctuates a little bit. But there's always money going into my travel savings account. And I have a couple, actually. I have one for Jamaica, specifically for Jamaica. So when I come back, my housing's pretty much taken care of out of that budget, and my flights and all that kind of stuff, since more than likely I'm going to come back. So I use that for Jamaica. But for other trips, I have a general travel account, since I like to do a lot of last-minute trips. Other ways to save, just be aware of your budget. I'm not really one to say get on a super strict budget, don't spend a dime, eat ramen noodles, that kind of thing, because I think it's important to enjoy your life at home or wherever you are. But if it's important to you, if it really matters to you, then you'll find ways to cut back. And don't look at just things like, I know people say save your coffee money or things like that. And if it really brings you happiness and you can't function without your coffee, then drink your coffee. Find other ways to save. Maybe it's cutting out cable. Maybe it's looking at your insurance, your car insurance, your home insurance, and finding out ways to get discounts and save a little more there. Looking at your phone bill, negotiating rates on your credit card if you have them, or other bills that you may have, credit card rates, things like that. You got to get creative and look for those ways to save big, and not just $1 or $2 here or there, which helps and all adds up. But find different creative ways to save a little more. The next bucket is earning more. So I just look at it this way, like, in order to afford something, you can save more, earn more, and when you don't want to cut out every single thing that you're doing, or if saving isn't getting you to your goal fast enough, you can always find tons of ways to earn money. For me, travel writing has been a way to add extra cash. I also do marketing consulting, or when I was working full-time, I also did marketing consulting on the side. So there's always this steady flow of extra income that would come in monthly. You can earn extra money from anything, whatever your skill or your talent or hobby is, or whatever people are asking you to do all the time that, you know, brings them value, you can start charging them for that. And some people may object, but you know, if you're giving your time, you're being of value, you're giving a service, I think it's, you know, completely fair to tack on a little bit of a fee on that. And that can be anything, you know, from what you do at your day job to babysitting to doing hair, you know, whatever it is that can help you earn a little extra cash. And you can sell things. So if you have a bunch of extra stuff lying around, you can sell your stuff on eBay, Craigslist, have a garage sale, etc. A few other things, you can rent out space in your room if you need to. You can downsize your car, your house, whatever the case may be. Again, if it's something that's important to you, you'll figure it out and find a way. And the last bucket is, you know, making travel affordable. There are tons of discount sites available for everything. So, for example, Flight Deal and Airfare Watchdog are really great ones that, of course, have airline deals. And recently, like the last couple of days, people have been jumping on crazy deals from Chicago, DC, and Houston to Nairobi, Kenya for like less than $500. I mean, it's insane. People are getting flights for $300, $400, $500. And these types of deals don't happen all the time, but they happen. So you just have to be aware and know what sites to sign up for. And the same holds for hotels and as well as attractions and things to do. There's also taking advantage of frequent flyer points and miles, which I do and I've done for a very long time. Having reward credit cards really, you know, helped me stretch my dollar in terms of hotel stays and things like that. So I would definitely consider and look into that. And yeah, like I said earlier, if you really want to make it happen, you can. And for me, it's been a combination of all of the above. I've done stuff on the side. I've sold a lot of stuff. I use frequent flyer miles, and of course, I got serious with my savings, and that keeps me on the road. I know it sounds so simplistic, but it's really just that simple. Let's see. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to include them in the box. If not, we're going to be wrapping this up really quickly. I apologize for the bit of a delay at the beginning. Had some technology difficulties, but thankfully I was able to get it all together. Just to let you guys know, I'm starting a WonderWanderlust Wednesday series. So next week, I'll actually start having guests to talk about specific destinations that may be of interest. So next week, we'll be talking to Diana Ogilvy. She is a travel writer, filmmaker. She has a whole bunch of stuff. She's pretty awesome. And she's been living and working in Bali for the last couple of years. And I know that's a destination that's been on people's bucket list, and people have asked me, and I haven't been there yet. So it'll be good to hear from her and get some insight on life there, how to plan for vacation there, how to plan on staying there for an extended period of time, and some of her top recommendations for what to do, what to see, and all that jazz. So if you're on my list, you'll receive another email reminder about that. It'll be next week, Wednesday, November 19th at same time, 8 p.m. We won't have the same issues as we did today. But yeah, that's it. So apparently I have questions, but I can't see them. And I'm not sure where they are. Let's see. Let's see. Let's do a little bit of digging. Group chat. Chat. Interesting. Yeah, I don't see them, but someone is messaging me that I have questions. Why is this disabled? Okay, well, I'm not seeing them. Okay, so here's one. What profession do I have that allows me to keep traveling? So I previously worked at a technology company based in the US, and I started off in sales, and the role was technically a remote opportunity, but because I had to be with clients a lot, it really didn't make a difference because I was, not at an office, but I was at client sites, and I covered clients all over the region, southeast region of the U.S. So I was on the road a lot and with my clients a lot. But there were times within the year where didn't really have a lot of client meetings, and I was working from home, so I could kind of pack up and work from anywhere. So at first, I kind of, tested the water and would go to New York for 3 weeks or go to South Florida for a couple of weeks and see how much I could get away with. And it worked out fine. And after a while, I transitioned out of sales and into marketing. And it was kind of the same thing. I was working from home, but I was still traveling. So I would sneak away and do, little trips here and there. But what made the difference was I actually negotiated with my management about taking a different opportunity or doing something a little different that would allow me to work remotely 100%. I didn't pitch them that way. I found a hole in our team and our skill set and said, we don't have anybody covering X. I'm great at this. Let me do it. Here's why. And they allowed me to do it. So I was eventually working from home 100% of the time, which meant I packed my bags and I would go away for 3-6 months at a time. I didn't tell my boss, they didn't know, but it never became a problem because I always got my work done. I did my work very well. I was always available for calls and things like that. So it really didn't matter. They had already set up the role, and the company was prepared for people to work at home. So it didn't make that much of a difference if I was at home in Atlanta or Jamaica. So there are lots of opportunities, I won't say a lot, but there are opportunities out there to work remotely. Things that pretty much just require an internet connection, a computer, those work great, of course, because you don't need to physically be anywhere. There are lots of those types of jobs in IT. Marketing, of course, can work. There are tons of other things too, like project management, some training and tutoring kind of jobs. Writing gigs are great for working remotely. Anything that, just requires a computer and an internet connection. And a lot of companies are starting to, wise up about that and allowing their employees to work remotely. So definitely either check with the company that you're at and see how that kind of works out for you, or you can pitch something and see how it goes. In my course, Travel Dreamers Academy, I walk through step-by-step process of how to come up with a pitch for your employer, your bosses, what kind of things to think about, what to say, how to formulate, what you want to do, and frame it in a way that it's beneficial for your company and not just you want the special treatment and you want to go away for 6 weeks to travel or work remotely so you can travel. But it's definitely an option. There are sites out there like Elance, Odesk, flexjobs.com that, are remote opportunities. And you can also check on LinkedIn. There are jobs that are remote that are posted there. Just make sure you search with remote. And as well as, what else? Oh, start your own business. That's one of the best ways. You control your schedule, you control your clients, you control what you do when you do it, how you do it. So that's another great way to do it as well. So the next question that I saw is, hold on a second, I just lost it. Oh, traveling alone, and how do I manage to do it and still enjoy myself? So yeah, so I travel alone a lot, and the main reason is because, you know, when I was working remotely, it's easy for me to hop on a plane on a Tuesday and just go. And a lot of my friends had jobs, they had kids, they had other responsibilities that wouldn't let them do that. So instead of just waiting, I would just go. And while I'm alone, there are lots of different ways you can take advantage of that. You don't necessarily have to be by yourself all of the time. Um, I make friends easily, especially here in Jamaica. It's really easy. But if you're not someone that, you know, is comfortable just talking to people and just chatting it up, there are a few things you can do beforehand. There's one site called couchsurfing.org, which is technically for people looking to crash on someone's couch for free, but it's another great way to meet people who are also traveling, or people that are living in a destination where you're traveling. There are several others, findanomad.com, travbuddy.com. You can take advantage of your Facebook friends and friends of friends. You can take advantage of your alumni association. I've done that a couple of times and connected with some really great people in Japan who went to Michigan State with me, and they showed me around and did everything they possibly could to make sure I had a great time. You can take advantage of, you know, any organizations that you're in, friends, family members. I've even used my corporate directory when I was working full time, because it was an international company and we had access to a large directory. So I would just look up people in whatever destination I was heading to and see who wanted to chat, who wanted to share, you know, some tips for their home, and who wanted to maybe meet up. And that worked out very well. I had some coworkers that were, the guy was from Brazil, his wife was from Colombia. So when I went to Colombia, she kind of gave me the lowdown, things to do, people to connect with. You just got to get creative with finding people. And when you arrive, you know, it makes it a little easier to connect with people because you're by yourself, you're not with a group. And there are opportunities locally. So you have to figure out like where are restaurants or bars or events and activities where it's something that you would enjoy and it's the type of people that you would enjoy. So if you have a specific hobby, for example, certain kinds of dance, you can look for meetups or groups that are there to meet with people. And if you're, you know, just looking to travel alone, that's fine too. I do that all the time. Like, I know people here in Jamaica, but a lot of times I'll just rent a car and just kind of drive and do things on my own. And for that, it's just a matter of, you know, making sure you stay safe, staying street smart, making sure that you don't carry a lot of money on you, make sure that people know where you are back home, keep your personal documents safe, keep copies of it, that kind of thing. So just focus on what you enjoy, be open to meeting people, be open to new experiences. The people will come, you'll meet crazy people all the time, crazy in a good way. And yeah, that's it. So next question. How can you travel on a very low budget internationally? Good question. So I kind of alluded to this a little earlier, but you just have to find those ways to make it affordable and save as much beforehand before your trip. There are tons of ways to save. One way is in your accommodations. Hostels are a great option for low cost accommodation, and they're not always, you know, the backpacker hostels that you may have heard about or seen about in movies or whatever, but those are a lot of times low cost accommodations. You can also rent an apartment or a vacation rental instead of staying in a hotel. You can, you know, find flight deals. Like I mentioned a little earlier, there are tons of ways to, you know, eat locally and stay away from some of the more touristy destinations or restaurants and things where the prices will be jacked up a little bit. Ask locals when you arrive at wherever you're going. They may know of things to do, places to eat, places to stay that are a lot more affordable. And I think the biggest thing is planning and doing your research. So if you start your planning out early enough and look at what the options are, that gives you a lot of time to find the more affordable options and save as much as possible. I think that the longer you stay, the more affordable it can be. For example, renting an apartment over a month and having one flight over a month and stretching out that total cost makes it a little more affordable, or a less daily amount, if that makes any sense. I sound kind of crazy. I hope that makes sense. What else? Traveling overland. So instead of taking flights everywhere, if you can take a bus or some other public transportation, that makes it a little more affordable. It can be done. I mean, it just depends on what type of experience you're looking for, what's going to keep you comfortable. But the more time that you spend preparing up front, the more you'll be able to find these different ways to save. And again, it's something I go into a lot of detail in my course about other places that you can find discounts, but you just got to take the time and do the research. Okay, these are very interesting questions. So the next one is, how is the dating scene in Jamaica? Well, I don't really want to fall into the stereotypes, but it's interesting to say the least. I didn't come to Jamaica trying to get my groove back. I wasn't coming here looking for a guy or someone to marry, but I spend so much time here, it's kind of hard not to date. I haven't been on a ton of dates, but I meet people all the time, and it's quite common for people to stop you on the street and offer to marry you and all that kind of stuff. But it's interesting. I mean, I think overall it's very similar to most other places. I think Jamaican men can be a little more forward, maybe a lot more forward, but it can make it interesting. Yeah, I mean, I've gone on dates and it's just the normal stuff, go to the movies, go to dinner. But I think the most important thing is to understand, what you're looking for and be very clear about that, and trying to be all PC and stuff. But yeah, understand what you're looking for, understand your worth. Don't get caught up in nice words and compliments and flattery, because that seems to roll off the tongue very easily for a lot of Jamaican men, and some can be very flirty. So I would just say, be cautious. There's lots of, especially in Kingston, there are a lot of people here. There are a lot of professionals here. There are a lot of expats that are here. And there are also a lot of people that are just looking for fun. So as long as you're clear on what your expectations are, you'll be okay. You'll be all right. So yeah, so I might have more on that at a later date. There are tons of stories, but that would take hours. So yeah, stay tuned for more on dating in Jamaica. So besides Jamaica, where would be my favorite place in the world to live? So I won't say necessarily my favorite place in the world to live, but one of my other favorite places that I have already been to is South Africa. I spent 6 weeks there in 2005, and I kind of spent time all over the country, from Durban to Bishu, Mthatha, Sitikama, like all over Cape Town, Johannesburg, and it was a great time. I really, really loved it. And it's kind of the same experience that I have in Jamaica. It just kind of clicked, and I felt connected. I felt a part of that place. I guess I'm noticing a trend. I really like places where people look like me. Not that I don't like places where people don't look like me, but there's just something about, a place where I kind of feels like home, and people feel like I belong there, and that, I belong there. And that's the same kind of thing I got from South Africa, and I love it because there's beach. Durban is warm most of the year. Water's warm most of the year. There's tons of different terrain and things to do. Sitikama is freaking amazingly beautiful. So the first place that I actually did the little canopy zip lining thing. Yeah, so South Africa. I actually went back this past summer while I was in Ghana and still had a great time. Still had that same vibe. So it's definitely a place that's on my radar for an extended stay in the near future. But I don't know about living. I don't know where I'd like to live long term. Still trying to figure that out. But South Africa is definitely a place that I love, in addition to Jamaica, of course. And yeah, hope to be back there very soon. So, next question. Why is Paris a must destination for Blacks? Well, I've only been to Paris for very short stints, like a 2-day kind of thing, or like an extended layover. And it's cool. It's just never been a place that I've been particularly drawn to. But there are a couple of people that do like cultural Paris tours and Black Paris tours. And I honestly can't tell you much detail about it. I know there's a lot of history. I know the whole Josephine Baker thing, but I can't tell you those details. There is a woman, I think it's called Walking the Spirit Tours Paris, and a couple of others. And actually, there is a woman named Kiritiana, and I'm drawing a blank on her last name, but she has a book called Let a Black Girl Show You Paris, or something like that. So, Black Girl's Guide to Paris, thank you. And that will give you a lot of insight on Paris, I think, from a Black perspective, and then Walking the Spirit Tour. So if that's something of interest, I definitely think you should check it out. I think there's value in most places, and I think there's not really any place in the world that you can go, or maybe only a few, where you don't see Black people. And I think by them just being there, there's importance in their story. So I really think there are a lot of different places that are valuable for Blacks to visit inside and outside of Africa, and all the other, traditional places for the African diaspora. Question, do you see yourself settling in a single destination doing the marriage and kids thing? Yeah, about that. So I'm open to it. Not so much the kids part, but marriage, yeah, And I think being still definitely help with that, but I don't know. I'm open to a lot of things, but at the moment, I'm not really looking to settle down and be in one single destination. I am looking for a home base. Again, I have a home in Atlanta, but it's rented out, and I just want a place where I can say, okay, this is my home, this is where my stuff is, but I don't necessarily want to be there all the time, if that makes sense. So I guess in a sense that is settling, but but not completely. So yeah, so I guess my hope is that I find someone that enjoys moving around, enjoys spontaneity, enjoys travel, always keeps his passport valid, and is ready to kind of, hop up and go somewhere with me whenever the urge hits. Outside of that, I don't really know. We'll just see what happens, just taking it one day at a time. I got a couple of years before, before things get hopeless and dire and sad for me, but for right now I'm good, and I'm happy moving around and all that stuff. So I think that was the last question. So yeah, I think that's the last question. And I can't find the window to double check. If you guys have any other questions, oh, there I am. So thank you guys so much. If there are any questions, please do let me know now. If not, I'm going to stop this call right now because we're almost at the 9 o'clock hour. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And again, apologies for the technical difficulties at the beginning, but I'm glad we were able to meet. I'm glad we were able to do this, and I hope you guys will join me next week And maybe every other Wednesday, Wanderlust Wednesday, we'll cover different destinations. It seems like Paris is of interest. But next week we'll be doing Bali. So if you guys have specific destinations that you'd like to talk about for an upcoming, trip or move or something else, then definitely let me know. I haven't been everywhere, but I'm pretty sure I can find people that have been to almost anywhere in the world that'd be happy to share their experiences. And yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you being here, and we will talk soon. Bye.